Oh, yeah, it's a dance party. We are all fired up. Who are these dancing idiots on your screen? Well, you've known I've been an idiot for years. My name's Brian Anthony Davis. You can call me Bad here on the Steel Curtain Network. But I'm with my friends and my most knowledgeable friends. That's why they are here. They go ahead and lift me up. You know, I have Dave and Jeff with me all the time. They're the smart guys. I had to find more smart guys. And they're not too smart because they're fans of the Patriots, the Eagles, and the Broncos. But hey, everybody has their faults. And I will say this. There's not many Patriots fans that I like. I love Nick Hogan. There's not many Eagles fans that I could stand. Aiden Reed is awesome. And then there's Jess Place.
Hello.
For the Broncos. Broncos Mile High here on the Fans First Sports Network. Jess Place, he is as witty as they come. He is fantastic and knowledgeable. So he's kind of like a triple threat here on the Fans First Sports Network. Jess, how are you?
Living the dream. I'm going to grab you with both hands and lift you up.
I know you are. So, hey, so why are we doing this show? Where's the Q&A? We did the Q&A. We'll probably get back to the Q&A pretty soon. But as far as that goes, we have an empty spot. And this is a show that I usually do on Sunday nights. And this goes out on the Fans First Network affiliate. So make sure you check that out. Look, if you're just watching YouTube, you are missing out. There are so many shows on the Steel Curtain Network alone. There's 3 originals every single day. Doesn't matter what time of year. If it's April 86th, guess what? We've got a show. We've got 3 of them. So it depends what day of the week it is. So Steeler Nation, I want to introduce you to my friends. We've already talked to Jess Place. We've got Nick Hogan from Foxborough Frenzy. Please don't worry about it. Probably the coolest, and I'm not kidding, the coolest Patriots fan that I know. He is he's having a rough day because they fired his beloved coach, Jerod Mayo, today. And not only that, they went ahead and blew it by winning and beating Buffalo. So, Nick, how are you, my friend?
Well, I was gonna say you got it mixed up. I'm delighted that Mayo is gone. That was the redeeming quality of today. But the game itself was brutal. Losing the first overall pick in the draft sucks. But we got 4th, and we got an opening for the head coaching job, which I am very excited about to see what happens.
And then we've got BSL Reed. He is Aiden Reed. Yeah, look, he does look like a pilot there, a fighter pilot with his headphones and his cap there. I'm not sure.
A lucky beanie.
But he looks good in his lucky beanie. One of my favorite Eagles. I've a lot of cool Eagles fans that are friends. Broad Street LinkedIn here on the Fans First Sports Network. I do want to go ahead and bring up somebody that I just saw pop in the live chat here. And it's somebody from the Link lineup. He said, hey, go Birds.
Go
Link
Birds.
lineup. You could check out the Link lineup. I know you have, Reed.
Yes.
Link lineup's really good, too. So when you're not listening to Broad Street LinkedIn, you should be. But when you're done listening to Broad Street LinkedIn, check out all the stuff on the Link lineup. Really good stuff here on the Fan First Sports Network. And who knows, Link lineup, if you don't talk about Zach Bond every 9 seconds, we might have to bring you in and kick BSO Reed.
DPOY.
He's not DPOY. Let me go ahead and bring up the live chat here. One thing that we always do on these shows, there are so many comments. We cannot read all of them, but if you do in a show like this, if you go ahead and throw in the tip jar, we'll go ahead and read them. Our good friend Marky D, Steelers Nation Australia. The Bungles were eliminated from the playoffs. There's a lot of ha's. Ha 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 ha. This guy absolutely hates. He abhors the Cincinnati Bengals, and so it's happy day. So Jess, by your team, well, they didn't do it last week for us, but by your team winning this week, the Bengals are gone, and you made Marky D's day.
I think we made all of Australia's day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, we got to talk. We got to find out how Marky D's Christmas went. He's a Christmas Eve baby, and he's a Steelers fan from down under. he came to Pittsburgh again for the Steelers games, and had a chance to go ahead and go sit through that Chiefs game. But he reminds me of the guy on Love Actually that comes to the States with the accent and all the ladies swoon. So
my dad's actually from Sydney. He's an immigrant from Sydney, so my dad's from down under too. I have some down under blood in me.
there you go. That's awesome. You didn't know that about Aiden Reed. So let's go ahead. Let's get into this. It's week 18, fellas. There are some games that did not seem like they were significant, but they were significant to every single sports fan for some reason or other. And we'll start with Hogan, the game that we thought was going to be really significant, that you never want to root for your team to lose, but when you have nothing to gain by beating the Buffalo Bills this week and you have everything to lose in the number one pick, it hurts.
It certainly does. I'll keep it short and sweet because I'm going to deep dive into this on Foxborough Frenzy later. But yeah, the Patriots took care of business today when many Patriot fans did not want them to, myself included. Beating the Buffalo Bills 23-16. It was the Joe Milton day where Drake May literally threw one pass and then was done for the day, along with Josh Allen, who came in for a play and then sat down promptly right after that. Joe Milton impressed. 22 for 29, 241 yards, 1 touchdown. He ran the ball a little bit too, got a rushing touchdown as well in his debut there. Great stuff from the rookie. Really promising stuff. Kayshon Boutte, 7 catches, 117 yards and a touchdown. On the Buffalo side, Mitchell Trubisky played for a decent amount, but ended up sitting down towards the end with Mike White playing. Not a lot of stats on the Buffalo side there, but like you said, the Patriots unfortunately lose the number 1 overall pick. Buffalo has that 2 seed locked up. They were enjoying themselves in the losing fashion, screwing over the Patriots one more time out the door.
Jess, should we get a t-shirt for Hogan that says "Nice Booty"?
No, absolutely not.
Oh.
We get little tidy whities. We'll put it.
Oh, there we go.
Hogan, I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
With the lack of quarterbacks in this draft, are you interested in exploring trade options for Joe Milton here, knowing that Drake May is your guy going forward?
Honestly, if there was more depth at the quarterback position where Jacoby Brissett is absolutely not coming back next year, I have no doubt in my mind about that. I do not want to see the Patriots trade Joe Milton, considering the fact that Drake May got hurt twice this year when he played, and his running ability, and Joe Milton filled in phenomenally today against arguably, third string guys. But the fact is, you have a guy that can play ball, and that's always the best feeling in the world, to have a backup that you want in that position. You would know with Kenny Pickett, obviously, you don't want somebody that can fill in for the guy.
Yeah, and Tanner McKee, the Mormon Missile, but we'll get to him later.
The Mormon Missile. Nice. Jess, yeah, I want to ask you a question. This is actually serious. I have a problem with the Buffalo Bills this week. I have a problem with Buffalo Bills most weeks. But I don't like the whole bring a guy in for one play so he can extend his consecutive game streak to 135 or whatever it was for Josh Allen. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but I absolutely hate that. I mean, that's one snap shouldn't make a starting streak, and I think that's pretty bush league. I'd rather see them go the route of Saquon Barkley that is there for himself.
I don't know. It's week 18, and every coach is trying to hook up their players. I mean, Mike Evans with his $3 million bonus, and Cortland Sutton today with his $500,000 bonus. It's all part of that, like, end of regular season, like, I'm here for you guys kind of coach kind of vibe, and I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's like Brett Favre taking that dive for Michael Strahan. It's just, these are the kind of things that happen at the end of the season. It's just,
oh yeah, don't remind Mark Gastineau of that.
No.
He's still mad. Oh boy.
Oh, he's still mad, and I was angry back then in 2001. I thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
that was a major dive. It's not like they were teammates or anything. But we found out over the years. I don't want to get too far into this, but we found out that Brett Favre is a reputable guy, so I don't want to besmirch him at all. I mean, Hogan, are you with me on that?
I am 100% on board with you with that.
What do you think about the? No, I want to go back to the Josh Allen thing. Come on.
Yeah, I'm conflicted on that because on one side I get like wanting the streak continue where it's kind of a cool thing for the player individually, but at the same time for him to literally go out there and hand off the ball and be like, you got the start, now it's on you. It's like I'd be more upset that he had a loss against him now against the Patriots, which is just like,
he does get the loss. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, congratulations, you continued your streak, but you lost, so you're a loser.
I didn't even think of it. You're a loser. I didn't even think about that, but it almost, Reed, you're a baseball fan, and even though you're Phillies, even though you're a baseball fan here, let me ask you this though: shouldn't it be for Josh Allen? Shouldn't it be something like a pitcher? You've got to go 5 innings.
Yeah, I mean it's a loophole in the system that they exploited, but I'm kind of with Jess here. I don't hate it. I mean, look, it's gonna be a streak that's gonna keep going, and at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm more upset that he's gonna win MVP, to be honest with you, than this starting streak. But
he is going to win MVP. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, which I'm not too happy about, but yeah.
Let's talk about his main competition for MVP, and let's talk about. I was complaining about this yesterday because the Ravens were running up a score against the lowly Browns yesterday in that game, and they were risking getting guys hurt to be the greatest team of all time as far as offensively trying to break one of the Browns' records. And they were really playing with fire. This is a team that won 25 straight preseason games and celebrated it like they were champions of the world every single preseason. So I have a problem with the extending of, but that's just a Harbaugh thing. He's not Wang Harbs for nothing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about this game. They go ahead and win by the score of 35-10. It wasn't even that close, not at all. As the Ravens go ahead and beat the Browns, they are the number 3 seed. They do host the Steelers next week, which I'm thinking that is going to be a very cold Saturday game. We will find out about that. But Hogan, Ravens 35, Browns 10.
Yeah, this game, like you said, wasn't close from the get-go. It was just a slop fest for the Browns, and the Ravens obviously took advantage of what the Browns gave them. Like you said, I think there was a possible injury in there with Zay Flowers got dinged up in that, so that's obviously not good for them. But when you got a guy named Derrick Henry, things look pretty okay for Baltimore. 20 carries, 138 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I believe he tied Jim Brown's record for most games with 2 rushing touchdowns and over 100 yards. I mean, he's got a bazillion records at this point. Lamar Jackson doing himself plenty of favors there. 217 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, Baltimore just taking care of business. On the Brown side, they tried to go with Bailey Zappi, who I know plenty about, and he is not going to get the job done for you. 170 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks, one being costly for a pick 6 that got the scoring started for the Ravens. Other than that, not a lot of home to write about this game where Cleveland falls to 3-14 and the Ravens prep themselves for the playoffs.
Just Bailey Zappi. Zappi rhymes with crappy.
It's true.
That okay?
I can confirm.
But that's the closest we're going to get that. Actually, fantastic quarterback. Was he out of Western Kentucky? Is that correct? Just an amazing quarterback. Western Kentucky puts out great quarterbacks. They're just running them up. Reed's like, all right, Sirianni's got to sign somebody from Western Kentucky right now.
Action.
So, Reed, I'm going to ask you this question. This is a team going into the playoffs that is very dangerous. Everybody's talking about the Bills and the Chiefs. Shouldn't we be talking more about those purple-clad Ravens?
100%. I think those are the 3 contenders, like the real teams that have a chance, no offense, Brian, of winning the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, Brian.
This offense has been electric. Zay Flowers, his knee is something to keep an eye on, as well as Kyle Hamilton's ankle. Like you mentioned, those are 2 stud guys getting hurt, number 1 options for them. But yeah, I don't think the Ravens are a team anyone wants to play. That's an offense that can compete with anyone. And, a Chiefs team that has not scored more than 31 points this season, like are they going to be able to keep up with the high-powered Ravens offense? I know that they played Week 1, but that was a long time ago. So yeah, I mean, a Chiefs Ravens game would be phenomenal, and I don't think anyone wants to play the Ravens.
First Gerard Mayo, now Reed. See ya. So we'll
Sorry, Brian. It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
We like Reed. Yeah, but so let's go ahead and move forward to the game that a lot of Steeler fans here in, of course, because this is running on the Steel Curtain Network. It will also be running on. We will have it on the audio side on.
Now your whole chat's gonna hate me, Brian. Oh man.
Well, I'm sure.
That's rare air for an Eagles fan.
Yeah. Nobody hates the Eagles fans. What's up with that? Let's go. No, I think Steeler fans will agree with you. I went to the game yesterday. There's no joy in Mudville. Let's put it that way. No joy in Steelville either. So I'm bringing that up because we're going to talk about that game yesterday. The Steelers had a chance to pull it out. They were discombobulated all the way. Hogan, what do you hear about that?
Honestly, it's interesting where like you touched on earlier in past episodes and everything with Russell Wilson, whether it was a mistake going back to him as opposed to Justin Fields. But honestly, experience is what matters. And unfortunately, the experience didn't shine through for Russell Wilson in this game. 148 yards and 1 touchdown. Not much of a run game to speak of. Najee Harris did dive into the end zone for a touchdown there. But on the Cincinnati side, Joe Burrow, again, 277 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Jamar Chase, 10 catches, 96 yards, and 1 touchdown. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he wrapped up the Triple Crown for receiving this season, which is just incredible. I know, obviously, Steeler Nation probably is not in particularly fond of the Bengals, but it's got to be pretty impressive to see what they did on that side. Although missing out on the playoffs where the Steelers continue to go into.
That's all that counts, and that's how do you wipe the stink off of a 4-game losing streak, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. George Pickens is the biggest story coming out of this game, in my opinion. 6 targets, 1 catch, 0 yards. Russell Wilson had him on that last drive wide open, and that would have changed the narrative for sure. But, I think the biggest thing here is get George Pickens and Russ on the same page, get him dialed in this week in practice. And, he's the most potent weapon on the Steelers offense. So getting him in connection with Russ I think is the biggest goal in this week leading up to the playoff matchup with the Ravens, which, they are 8.5-point dogs, but Mike Tomlin on the road as an underdog performs great. So I wouldn't count you guys out. And I think the interesting part is that the Ravens would much rather see the Broncos or the Chargers than the Steelers, because the Steelers always play them well. And so I think that, speaks some volumes that I think Ravens really did not want to see the Steelers in this first round.
Of course, I could talk all day about it, and that's what we do here on the Steel Curtain Network. But this is the Fans First Football Show, so we're talking about all 32 teams this week. But the Steelers, they were really in that game back in Week 16 against the Baltimore Ravens. They were in it. They had that Minka Fitzpatrick finally got off the schneid, and then Russell Wilson threw an interception. You mentioned getting George Pickens back into the fold. I don't know if that's possible. I really, there's a part of me that thinks that was George Pickens' last home game in a Pittsburgh Steeler uniform, because I think a divorce might be coming. He was trying to fight the fans. He was trying to, he did. And I know this for a fact because I was walking out there and saw him walking out of the stadium, and where fans were gathering to, say hello, walking to the parking lot. He just went past and ignored everybody, didn't say a thing. There's a problem right now. And that started out this week with a columnist, somebody that is very well respected in Pittsburgh, and Alan Saunders, when he just basically asked, are you and Russ on the same page? Russ said that you weren't on that one interception, and he put his hood up and walked out. It took his ball and went home, and he is just, I'm really worried that there is a George Pickens problem in Pittsburgh now, Jess.
Well, this is the first I've heard of it. So am I surprised? Russell Wilson, maybe he could do some high knees or something to try to make it right. But this is the Russell Wilson that Broncos fans saw. Like it is ineffective. It is turtling up, turning his back to the defense and just getting creamed. I am not surprised that it is happening. I am just surprised that it took this long.
Wow, I tell you what, it's a conundrum right now, but it's really funny what could happen here in Pittsburgh. All bets are off, and we talk about this all the time. I'm not endorsing saying it's going to happen, but when you're playing a divisional team, even in the playoffs, you just you throw out the regular season, you throw out even the last month, and you hope that they could somehow change their fortunes. Right now, a lot of Steeler fans are worried and pessimistic, and there's no reason they shouldn't be. So let's go ahead and wipe the stench off of the Saturday games. Let's go real quick. Aiden Reed, Panthers 44, Falcons 38. The Falcons are mercifully dead. And the Panthers, we talked a couple of weeks ago how they might be one of the most exciting 12-loss teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryce Young's all the way back. I think a lot of people wrote him off, including myself. I'll put my hand up. But he's come back with a force, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air. The offense was humming. But, this game had a lot of implications for the Falcons. It ended up not mattering because the Bucs marched back to win that game. But the biggest thing it's been the whole year is the Falcons defense. And you thought they would address it more in the offseason, and they did bring in Judon. But a lot of people thought they'd go a different direction in the draft, especially in the first round with defense. But until they fix this defense, it's not going to be feasible for them to continue winning these games. It's kind of not – their offense isn't even close to the Bengals, but their defenses are pretty similar. And until they address this issue, the Falcons are just – even if they made the playoffs, they would have gotten smoked. So, in a game against the 4-12 Panthers going into it, a game you have to win to have a chance to stay alive, and you let them beat you, it's tough. But, Bijan Robinson, phenomenal as per usual. 28 carries, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Drake London ending off the season with a bang, 10 catches, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns. But, yeah, I mean, Bryce Young was dealing. Jalen Coker, undrafted free agent, has been phenomenal for them. 7 catches, 62 yards for them. But, yeah, I think the big story for me coming out of this is until the Falcons address their defense, they will never be a contender.
All right, we are going to go ahead and take a break. And right after the break, we have breaking news. We have the wild card weekend schedule. Where are the Steelers playing? Where are the Broncos playing? Where are the Chargers and Texans playing? I have all of that. We are going to have that when we come back. So stay right here. It is the Fans First Sports Network, the Fans First Football Show here on the Steel Curtain Network and the Fans First Sports Network. Stick around. All right, we are back right here on the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Brian Anthony Davis. Nick Hogan is here. Aiden Reed is here. Jess is here as well as Place. Mile High Broncos in the house. Of course, Broad Street LinkedIn. We've got Foxborough Frenzy as well. And it's time to go ahead and take a look at the schedule. It is breaking news. So those here, and you guys are all familiar with them. Jeff Hartman just broke in on our affiliate here on our Slack channel and gave us Wild Card Weekend. It's going to start off Saturday. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Houston Texans at 4:30 p.m. on CBS. And Steeler fans, here you go. You might have to get your subscription out because Prime Video is going to be having the game. The first ever Prime Video playoff game will be the Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens in the frigid cold of M&T Bank Stadium. 8 p.m. on Saturday, where the Steelers will be playing the Ravens. On Sunday at 1 p.m. on CBS, it's Denver at Buffalo. At least they don't have to play a night game in Buffalo. Green Bay goes to Philadelphia at 4:30 p.m. on Fox. Aiden, there's your plans next week.
Yes, sir.
And then the night game, 8 p.m. on NBC, it's the Commanders and the Buccaneers. That is a replay of week 1 when the Buccaneers beat a not ready for primetime Washington team, and now they are together in the playoffs.
Same with the Packers and Birds. That's a week 1 rematch as well. So.
Yes, another week 1 rematch there as well. Then on Monday night, this is no surprise. Everybody knew this in the back of their minds because the Vikings and the Detroit Lions are on Monday Night Football. So, Sunday Night Football. As we speak, we do not have a score to go ahead and relay along to you right now, but it is either the Vikings or the Lions against the Los Angeles Rams. It is so weird to think that one of those teams is going to be a 3-loss team, a 14-win team on the road in the playoffs in Los Angeles, taking on the Rams. That should be a good one, fellas.
Yep, I'm very excited for these games. I'm surprised that we're not the Sunday night game, but interesting. And I mean, it's finally here. The season flew by. I'm so excited for playoffs.
And there's no surprise about the Steelers right now playing the Ravens in prime time because they both played on Saturday. The NFL was not going to give them an extra day when others don't get it. So everybody kind of knew that was going to be a Saturday game. Any thoughts about your matchup there, Jess?
Well, I think the Broncos played the Bills very strong last year. They beat them. I think it was in Buffalo. I'm not sure. But I think, any given Sunday, the Broncos are jazzed after putting a 38-0 stomp down on the Chiefs' 3rd and 4th stringers. They had the hot dog guy in there running the ball. It was great. Thank you for that. We really needed that. And we'll see Buffalo in the playoffs. It's going to be great.
Let's go ahead and talk about that game right now. But Jess, before we talk about that game, what I would like to, that's an advantage playing in the afternoon, playing a 1:00 game against a team like Buffalo and not having to play them at night. Now, I know the Broncos are used to weather games, but you would still rather play a team like Buffalo in the daytime than in a frigid evening.
To be honest with you, I would rather play them in the second window or at night. Denver doesn't traditionally do very well when they travel to the East Coast and then play the early window. So ideally, I would like it later in the day, but you can't get everything you want. And we might get a little snow. It's going to be frigid. It's going to be kind of an exciting playoff game atmosphere. Anything could happen.
You can't always get what you want, but as Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones said, sometimes you get what you need. And what the Broncos needed today and what Steeler fans needed was to see the Bengals go home, and that's what happened because the Broncos got the Chiefs B team. Broncos 38, Chiefs nothing, Hogan.
Yeah, this was an absolute beatdown from the get-go. Bo Nix looked absolutely unbelievable today. 26 for 29, had less incompletions than touchdown passes. That'll make Jess very happy, I'm sure. 4 touchdowns, 321 yards. Did not look like a rookie out there. He also led the team in rushing, 7 carries and 47 yards there. Cortland Sutton just looks like he's, reversed in age over there. 5 catches, 98 yards, 1 touchdown. Marvin Mims Jr., 5 catches, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. And those are all the stats I'm going to read because if you look at the Kansas City side, there was nothing worth talking about. Carson Wentz got the start. Did he play? I couldn't tell you because it was atrocious for the Kansas City Chiefs. 10 for 17, 98 yards, and nothing across the board there. Carson Steele, the leading rusher, 8 carries, 25 yards, and like I said, nothing worth mentioning.
Oh, Carson was not ready for late night there, and they didn't even play it at late night, but I just had to go and do that. Pennsylvania, once again, doesn't let you down, does it, Reed?
No, it's funny. Somewhere deep down, I still have faith that he can be good, but it looks like that ship has sailed.
You often picture Jess Reed having like a poster on his wall of Carson Wentz, just going like, Carson, we could have had it all together.
Could have had a dynasty.
What
The
could have
Seahawks
been?
injury.
So hey, I'm looking at the live chat here. I want to bring up a couple names here. My man Big G from the Steel Curtain Network, also doing stuff for the NFL affiliate here, is in the house. Hello to Sean Gurley. Also from our Cowboys, one of our Cowboys affiliates here, be Michael Davis as well, and the great show here on Fans First LinkedIn as well. So we have a couple good Dallas affiliates, and that's one of them as well. So it's good to see B. Michael Davis, and he's saying that the Broncos D will be an issue. Believe me, he's telling you that right now, and now he's going and piling on the Eagles. So that'll be a good fight. We might have to have that on Amazon Prime.
Enjoy Cancun.
Reed and Michael. Oh, listen, all right. Jess, any final thoughts about that game? I know you talk about the hot dog vendor, and even the hot dog vendor is standing up to him. If you know,
Chief Stannis will say, "Oh, we gave this to you. Congratulations!" I'm really proud of what the Broncos have done this year. I didn't have them making the playoffs. I mean, rookie quarterback. You're in the Russell Wilson financial hole. You've negotiated away all your draft picks for it seems like the last 2 decades. In terrible decisions. So, but Bo Nix today set the passing percentage record, which for the Broncos, which was kind of exciting over Peyton Manning. So that's significant. And for me, the highlight of the game was right around the end of the third quarter. CBS broke in and said, "We're going to go to a more competitive contest." I cannot tell you the last time the Broncos were preempted for doing well. So that was a nice change of pace for this season. Just really, really happy, really excited that Denver's has an opportunity to keep their season going. So we'll see you in Buffalo Bills in the snow, maybe.
All right. So now that Aiden Reed has gone and offended all of Dallas, and let's
Come
go
on,
ahead.
It's friendly banter.
Let's go ahead and go to that game. The Washington Commanders with a late win. My gosh, it didn't have to be Jaden Daniels this week for heroics at the end, beating the Cowboys 23-19. And real quick, I wanted to jump in. I mentioned we have some good affiliates here. I did not mention their names. I apologize. B. Michael Davis is with Star-Studded Cowboys, and we also have the Cowboys Global Cast with Mod as well. Really good stuff. So make sure you check out those. Commanders Cowboys, Reed.
Yeah, wow. Late end heroics. Last second touchdown by Scary Terry. Michael B. Davis. I was cheering for the Cowboys in this one. I wanted to beat down on the commies in the first round, but didn't go that way. That's what I call them. But Trey Lance showed some flash, 2 for 34 with 244 yards. Rico Dowdle seems like he's going to be the back going forward. He eclipsed 1,000 yards last week. I think that's a good bright spot for Cowboys fans. Coming into the year, it was a very questionable running back room, and Rico has really emerged as that number one option. Mariota, he didn't do any of this in Philly, but he had a decent game, 15 for 18, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, did a lot with his feet, 56 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. They rested Jaden Daniels early in the game, but the Commies, they lock up the 6th seed with this game, so they'll be going into Tampa Bay with the Rams losing to Seattle, which to me was puzzling. We'll get to that, why they rested their starters, but it's good momentum for them going into the playoffs, and I think it's a very winnable game in Tampa, which, as you mentioned, Brian, is a Week 1 rematch. Jaden Daniels' first game, they lost 37-20, but this is a completely new Washington Commanders team, so we'll see what happens there. Very excited for that matchup. I believe the spread is Bucks -3, so should be a good one.
Hogan, this is a crazy question, but when you're playing in Tampa, as this is a game that Washington's going to Tampa, it almost seems like a vacation more than anything to go and play a team like Tampa that even though that there are some fireworks, the Commanders, everybody's talking about how the Commanders are weak as wild cards with all those NFC North teams. But tell us why we should take the Commanders. I can't say commies. Commanders.
Is that bad?
Seriously. No, I mean, they're in the nation's capital, Reed, and the Commanders. It's like, military and staunch, and you're like calling them commies. All right.
Well, I'll talk about the Commanders like you were asking about there. I can't say that it's going to be a vacation by any means with them going to Tampa. And obviously, like you said, week 1 was miles away from where we're matching up in the playoffs now here. But the big thing that I look at the Washington is they're not going to take anybody by surprise with the way that they played this year so far. And with that, Jaden Daniels has been, electric as a rookie with what he's been able to do, throwing the ball, running the ball. Terry McLaurin's had a resurgent, obviously, with Jaden Daniels throwing the ball. And then defensively, they've looked really well there, too, with obviously Bobby Wagner leading the pack there. And then it's going to be interesting to see if they get Marshawn Lattimore back in time to match up with his old buddy, Mike Evans. That's going to be a matchup to watch. But honestly, I wouldn't write off the Commanders. I mean, they have a chance. And the biggest thing is Tampa is still a banged up unit. They granted they have Baker Mayfield, they have Mike Evans, but at the end of the day, they're not the same teams they were that met up in week 1. So like we said before on the show, anything can happen.
All right, Jess, I want to ask you a question, and it's more on the Dallas side here. There could be major changes in Dallas, but we're seeing two young players do awfully well in Trey Lance, who might be on his way to a possible career resurgence with Dallas. That doesn't always happen when you pick up a guy that failed elsewhere, when Dallas picks up a guy that's failed elsewhere. And Rico Dowdle's doing something special there as well, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what madness lurks in the minds of Jerry Jones. Either he does a complete revamp, which is scary, or he does nothing, which is also very scary. So you never really know what you're going to get, because it's the mania and the I don't know, the weirdness of Jerry Jones. No one knows what he's going to do, not even him. So I don't know. The Dallas Cowboys seem like they have a long way to go before they get back to their 90s glory, despite what everyone tells us every year and jamming 5 national Dallas games down our throat every year. Like that and the Giants this year. I mean, between the two of them, good gosh, that was some bad television.
They still have to pay Micah as well, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, right.
I know he wants to be an Eagle, but sorry, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if he wants to be an Eagle now. Well, if you look at the scoreboard, if you take the scoreboard away, if you take the salary cap away, if you take everything away,
that was an absurd statement.
That was close. All right, let's talk about the EAGLES Eagles. 20-13, fly Eagles fly over the Giants. Not much of a surprise. You could probably wrap this up really quick, Reed.
Yeah, this will be quick. We can go more in depth on Broad Street LinkedIn, so check us out there. But I love me some Mormon missile action. That's what we call Tanner McKee here in Philly. 27 for 41, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. I just want to address this because I know it's going to be a narrative. He did have 164 passing yards in the first half, which was the most by an Eagles quarterback this season. Not questioning Jalen Hurts at all. He's obviously still the guy who's going to be there. Drew Lock, we got some revenge after that Seattle game against us last year. But yeah, I mean, this was a third string game. It was nice to see Jahan Dotson get activated a lot. 7 catches, 94 yards. He's been quite a disappointment from the Commanders, but hopefully he can get in the flow and be a solid number 4 option here for our offense in the passing game. Dallas Goedert's been hurt for a while, so they let him play a little bit in the beginning. It was nice to see him shake off some rust. Very active early, 4 catches for 55 yards. And Aeneas Smith, rookie, got his first touchdown for his NFL career, which was exciting. But yeah, I mean, nothing really to address on the Giants side of the ball. I think they wanted to lose this game to improve their draft stock. And Malik Neighbors did have a nasty touchdown in this game. And if you're a Giants fan, you've got to be very excited for what the future holds with him. But similar to the Cowboys, it's going to be interesting to monitor this offseason. Will Dable stay? Will Dable go? What are they going to do at quarterback in a not very quarterback strong draft? So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the offseason pans out for them.
A very good rookie class for, I will say this, for the New York Giants. I know there's not much to say about them, but a decent rookie class. Ty Tracy also as a running back with Malik Neighbors. My gosh, you can start seeing something happening here. I'm going to ask you to answer, brother man, to you real quick. Is Jalen Hurts going to be ready next week?
Yes, he will. He did walkthroughs on Saturday. So, I mean, obviously it's not 100%, but I'm going to say 99% sure he's going to go. The fact that he did walkthroughs on Saturday is very promising. And yeah, I would expect him to suit up and be ready to go. And week 1 rematch against Green Bay. I'm very excited, very excited. The line opened up at 3.5, which kind of scares me. I thought it was going to be a little bit more. But yeah, excited for the game.
Hogan, answer this question for me. Did he leave anything for Broad Street LinkedIn?
He actually didn't talk about Zach Bond, so that's.
And you had to bring up the B word.
Starters are resting. You got to rest the DPOY before playoffs.
He didn't play. He didn't play, so obviously he's got to wait.
The DPOY is named TJ Watt, Trent Jordan Watt, for those that aren't.
He's going to get it. He's going to get it, Brian. TJ will get it.
They'll give it to Myles Garrett. Even when Myles Garrett will be 97 years old, they're like, and we got to give it to Myles, where he'll throw helmets at people. So go ahead and let's go. Let me ask you this one question, Hogan, a serious question on this with the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team that they rested a lot of guys today, which they needed to rest these guys. But I forgot his name already. That quarterback, Jalen Hurts. If this game meant something today, would have Jalen Hurts played?
I got to imagine he would have if it meant something, like if they needed to lock up seating or something, and then he probably would have. But at the end of the day, especially with the way that Hurts plays the game with him and Saquon there and all their starters, like they need to be rested. Where the NFL only has the one team getting the bye there, and obviously Philly's got to be ready to go. And you saw actually something that'll really benefit them today is Green Bay got dinged up a little bit in their game, where I believe Christian Watson got carted off the field, which is obviously horrible, but that'll certainly help Philly with the way that they played.
And Love had they said it was a funny bone, just knocking a funny bone around, but you always got to worry about those elbows. Jess, I'm going to ask you a question. Brother man, to you asks this: was it fair to sit Saquon? Now, I believe Saquon said he would go out, but that was being a team player. But you would think that if the team would have said he could have played, he would have probably played. What do you think about that whole thing? With a record, I already complained about records with Josh Allen because I think that was a bogus record. But something like this, what if you had a problem if Saquon played?
All right, so I feel like as a Broncos fan, I have a unique perspective on this because we were in this exact same situation in 1997 with Terrell Davis, and he needed like 100 and some odd, like actually it was like 150 yards or something like that to get 2,000 yards. And the team kind of rallied around him, and they managed to get him that yardage so that he could become a member of the 2,000 yard club. Granted, they didn't have the playoffs as secured as Philly does now, but I think there's something to be said for an entire team coming together to lift up their star, the guy that is most important to their team. No shade on Jalen Hurts, but I think it could have been like an inflection point where it's like they start ramping up from here. If the team rallied around him to get him those yards, to get that record, I mean, I think that would have been really cool. But for whatever reason, I mean, I get it. If he gets hurt, everyone's going to be super mad. Who cares about the record, right? When you're going for a Super Bowl,
exactly.
But I think it could have been special. So.
And I think a lot of Eagles fans are traumatized from last year. AJ Brown got hurt in a Week 18 game, and he didn't play. He missed the playoffs, and we got blown out by the Bucks. So didn't mean to cut you off, Jess. I just wanted to throw that in there for the Eagles fans to remind them that we have bigger fish to fry. And when we started AJ Brown last year in Week 18, he ended up getting hurt. So yeah.
For the record, I had no problem with Tampa Bay helping Mike Evans get his record. No problem whatsoever. But because I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, the problem I had was Josh Allen coming out for one play, a handoff, and go woo, and then they're celebrating like he just won the Super Bowl. That just bothered me. And what the Ravens did yesterday, they really risked some things, and they were going for more of a team mark that and running it up, which it wasn't necessary when they were in command of that game, and they were really risking some things. So I think there's some different things to look at here. Now, Zay Flowers was hurt early in that game, but they really, if you get Henry dinged up by chasing just a mark and not trying to get somebody a bonus, that's a different thing. So that's why I brought all of that up, but we could probably debate that stuff forever when there's more important things to talk about, like Colts 26, Jaguars 23, Hogan.
Oh, gosh, you have to throw this one on me, don't you? All right, we'll talk about
You're
it.
You're an
anyway.
AFC guy.
I mean, I didn't even want to watch this game, but like I said, we'll talk about it.
They lose the number 1 overall pick, and now you make him talk about this game. Like,
right, yeah. I
Like,
got to talk about my old guy, Mac Jones here versus Joe Flacco. Talk about, the Tanks Bowl. Not to be confused with Tanks Bigby, who did nothing today. But anyway, we're going to talk about the other guys. Joe Flacco, obviously trying to make amends for last week in that awful showing up against the New York Giants, where the Giants lost their number 1 overall pick there. But Joe Flacco looking a little bit better, 23 for 40, 264 yards and 1 touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, absolute beast mode, 34 carries, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, held onto the ball, did not drop it before the end zone. Josh Downs having himself a decent day, 10 catches and 94 yards. On the Jacksonville side, obviously they fought till the end in overtime there. Mac Jones doing what he could do, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. No real running game to speak of, except Tank Bigsby did get into the end zone for 1 touchdown there. Brian Thomas Jr. arguably had one of the better receiving rookie years out there. 7 catches, 103 yards, no touchdowns, but man, oh man, he had himself a heck of a year. And obviously I consider him a huge Pro Bowl snub, if you ask me. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have at least Brian Thomas Jr. to look forward to going forward. Indianapolis looks to pick up the pieces into next year where they hopefully won't screw things up.
Hogan, could you honestly, Mac Jones has played well as a Jacksonville Jaguar as a backup. I think they kind of found something. I don't think they found a franchise guy, but they found a quality backup for Trevor Lawrence, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. I think that's the big thing with Mac Jones. If you actually watch his game, and I know I like to clown on him a lot because of what happened with the Patriots. I mean, I don't think the Patriots did him any service with his time here. But honestly, if you give him a clean pocket and you have decent players around him, I think he can be a serviceable backup in the NFL. He's going to be a journeyman. He's going to probably play for 10 different teams, but he's going to be a guy that you can turn to. And if you need to put him in the game for a quarter or two, he's not going to lose you the game is the best way I'll put it.
Yeah, I would probably say that. Jess, would you take him in Denver?
No.
Not to back up Bo Nix, or just Bo Nix is that amazing? Is that what
it's Bo Nix or nothing. I mean, we've already got, we have Zach Wilson as our 3rd string. So I mean, there's no room for another.
Oh, that's the ultimate cast off there. All right. So my brain hurts. I can't talk to you anymore this segment. So let me go ahead and let's go ahead and take a break. We'll be here. We'll be back in just a second. Stick around. You don't have to leave anywhere. We're just going to take a quick break. It'll be me pausing right after this for the return and the final part of Fans First Football Show here on FFSN and simulcasting tonight on the Steel Curtain Network. Stick around. Welcome back to the Fans First Sports Network. It's the Fans First Football Show. It's week 18. I can't believe we have done 18 of these, and we still like each other. That's the most amazing thing. I cannot believe. I never thought I would have a Patriot friend. I would have a Eagle compadre, and I have a guy I know that is a Bronco fan.
Thank you. That's sweet.
I kid because I care. There, Jess. You're the only one that you're the only one that would enjoy that joke. Now, if I did it to Reed, he'd be off for like 3 weeks, and
He's an emotional mess. Yeah,
you'd be like, I'm going to the Eagles game. I can't. I've got this going. I'm celebrating Arbor Day. So just joking. I like to mess with these guys. No, this has been a pleasure this year. Let's continue. Did we talk, Hogan? Did we talk extensively stats on the Patriots game? I don't even know.
I mentioned the noteworthy ones, but honestly, we don't need to.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back and talk about the Patriots again.
No, we don't need to. I don't need to relive what happened today, other than just what happened after the game. That's on repeat in my mind right now, where I'm just doing jumping jacks of joy for that.
All right, let's talk Bears, Packers. This one, it looked like the Packers had a last-minute win here, but no, they dropped in the playoffs. Second loss in a row, 24-22. This was a Super Bowl win for the Bears, 24-22 for at least their fans, wouldn't you say, Reed?
I actually was watching this game with a Bears fan, and he wasn't too happy just because the NFL this year is so top heavy and bottom heavy. There's so many teams that are 4-13, so many teams that are 3-14. So the Bears winning this game drops them out of the top 10, which my friend wasn't too happy about, but I think it's still a good win for the culture moving forward. When's the last time they beat the Packers? God knows how long. And, you wanted Caleb Williams to get a win like this and carry some momentum going into next year. But Caleb Williams didn't do too much, 21 for 29, 148 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Love only played for a little bit. Malik Willis took over for the bulk of the game. Josh Jacobs as well. So I'm not saying it was a Mickey Mouse win, but a lot of the game was against the backups. But, like I said, I think it's still good for the culture going forward. And DJ Moore, stepping out, shining in his last game, 9 catches, 86 yards for a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Bears fan, I think you're ready for the offseason, and you're ready to explore head coaching options. And I think you're hoping for Ryan Poles to get fired as well. But time will only tell. And for the Packers, again, I was personally cheering for the Packers because I wanted the commies in week 1. But again, not a very important game for them. And they'll be rested up and ready to go against the Birds. But you did mention the Christian Watson injury, which is obviously a huge blow. You never want to see a explosive player like that go down. But we will see them at the Link on Sunday at 4:30.
Isn't that something General Patton said? I want the commies in week 1. Hogan, let me ask you this question. I can't believe how often this is the word commies has ever been mentioned on the Fans First Sports Network. I don't even know where I'm going from here now, but we have talked about the devastation to the Patriots fans for losing that first pick. We just heard how Aiden's buddy, the Chicago Bears fan, was upset that his team won today. But let's go from the player's perspective. There's no way any of those guys aren't trying to win because this is their legacy. It's their time. So how should fans understand that as a franchise, it kind of benefits your franchise for them winning to at least close a rough season on a good note and start planting seeds for 25?
So the big thing that I'll speak to on this, and I'll definitely go more in depth on Foxborough Frenzy in the next episode, is that I took a lot away from the press conferences after the game today, especially from Joe Milton, who went up there and was just smiling nonstop, was a beam of light, was the happiest guy on the planet, still saying everything didn't feel real to him. The fact that he got his first chance in real NFL action outside of the preseason. And I think a big thing that I had to take a step back, especially as a fan and everything else, to be like, you know what, this kid was booed at when he was scoring touchdowns and when he was kneeling the clock out to get his first win there in the NFL like that. And it's unfortunate. It's the circumstances that it's like that. And like you touched on, where the players they know what's at stake based off of draft and everything else. But at the same time, it's their job and they're trying to do the best that they can to preserve their job and maybe, make a case for whatever team they're going to go to next year. But again, you have to really take a step back and look at it where if you're struggling and you're having a tough time, whatever you do in your normal daily basis for work, you don't want somebody coming in and booing at you when you're doing your job, right? Like I get it,
and doing it in a good way.
Right. So, like I said, the big thing, the eye-opening thing for me was some of these kids. I mean, Joe Milton's probably 21, 22 years old. He's not, an older guy, a veteran or anything like that. He is enjoying himself to the best of his ability. And I think a lot of fans have to stop and think, okay, what are the repercussions of what I'm either saying or doing sometimes to specific players or whatnot?
Jess, I'm going to go ahead and bring up a story real quick. If we can go back to 1988, Tony Dorsett was a Denver Bronco back in 1988, and the Steelers only had 2 wins in the first 3 quarters of that year. Then they went on to win 3 out of their last 4, and I was a high school student at the time, and I was just loving the fact that the Steelers finally got stuff together to win 3 out of their last 4. It dropped them down considerably in a draft that had Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, Derek Thomas, not to mention Tony Mandarich and Broderick Thomas as well. But, as I bring up those guys, and then the Steelers ended up getting their running back. They got Tim Worley, who did not last well in the league, but they really screwed that up. But as a fan at the time, I was feeling good for the players who ended up taking a horrible season and sowing the seeds to go to the second round of the playoffs the next year. So, I mean, I think that, do you think we get way too caught up in draft position?
You do when your team isn't doing well. I mean, on our show on something Broncos over at Mile High Broncos podcast.
Did you forget the name of it, or is it just something Broncos?
It's just something Broncos. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were talking about that. Now you interrupted me and I forgot my.
I'm sorry.
See what you did? See, this is like a total Steeler move. If your team is not doing well, you end up just, that's all you have is just, the future, hope for the future. I mean, Hogan can probably speak more on this than I can this year, finally. So we were talking about how great it is that we don't have to focus on a coach search, a quarterback search, all the stuff like draft positioning and all that. Like, this is the first time in like 9 years that we haven't had to do that. And so I believe it's just like the best coping mechanism for like Raiders fans or Browns fans or Miami.
Speaking of Miami, as we go into the lightning round, let's what the lightning round is. You guys are going lightning round. Yeah, this is me just saying, all right, let's do these quick, but we still have to give them justice because we want to give equal time to, or some time to, every single team. Let's talk about the Jets. That was a big win for them today as well. 32-20, beating the Dolphins, knocking them out of the playoffs. As it goes, that might be Aaron Rodgers' last game, though, with the New York Jets and possibly the NFL, Hogan.
I certainly hope not, because the way he played this year and the way the Jets played this year, I'd love him to come back for 5 or 6 more seasons at this point. So that way I can still see that. Unfortunately, I don't want to see him the way he played today, because he played very, very well. Finally eclipsing that 500 yards touchdown passing overall, 274 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. The Jets seemed like they could do no wrong. They pulled away late there, really. It was kind of a little bit closer at the beginning. Breece Hall, 12 carries, 57 yards, nothing really to write home about. Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard both getting a couple of touchdowns there. And then on the Miami side, no Tua, which obviously does not help them at all. Tyler Huntley did what he could, 227 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Devon Achane, man, he is a dangerous guy. 11 carries, 121 yards, and 1 touchdown. Average 11 yards per carry. He is ridiculous. Unfortunately, what else is ridiculous is the rest of Miami's offense today, other than Jonnu Smith, who caught 9 catches, 56 yards, and 1 touchdown. But Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle were essentially non-existent. So Miami limps to 8-9 and out of the playoffs. New York Jets secure another 5-12 season, and boy, oh boy, do I love when the Jets stink.
Yeah, I believe this was also a money game for Jonnu Smith. I think he was on that list, the incentive list. So good for him. Speaking of a money game, a guy who made a lot of money today was in bonuses was another, not Jonnu Smith, but Geno Smith with the Seahawks beating their arch rival, I think they're arch rivals, Los Angeles Rams. That was a final score of 30-25, Reed.
Yeah, Gino had a great game. 223 yards, 4 touchdowns. Obviously, with that win and passing yards, gets the $4 million in bonuses. But to me, this is really head scratching from Sean McVay for me. The Rams win this game, they get the 3 seed. They lose this game, and the Commanders win, which happened. They get the 4 seed. Now they're playing either Minnesota or Detroit, like you mentioned, Brian, are a 14-win wildcard team, which is insane. But really, really puzzling to me. I guess Sean McVay thinks that, whoever they put in front of him, they can beat. But I don't understand why you don't let Stafford go out there and win this game and you get the Commanders instead of the Vikings or Lions. I had trouble wrapping my mind around that as the game was happening. But, Seattle finishing the season strong. They had a decent year, 10-7, in the hunt till the final week. Charbonnet has done a decent job stepping in for Kenneth Walker. Didn't do too much today, 14 carries, 59 yards. But Geno spread the ball around. 4 different touchdown scores. Noah Fant, DK Metcalf, AJ Barner, and Jake Bobo. And I don't know what to think if I was a Seahawks fan. You're kind of in this limbo where you're good, but you're not great. It'll be interesting what they do going forward. Out of the draft picks that are set, I believe it's 17 teams now, or 18 maybe. They do have the last pick out of the teams that are eliminated from the playoffs with that 10-7 record. But, first-year coach, so I think you'd be satisfied with the season. Obviously, you can't be too happy that you missed the playoffs. And then again, on the Rams side, not too much to talk about as all these starters were rested. But yeah, the Rams will host either the Vikings or the Lions in the Monday night game.
It's all strategy. I guess that's what it is. That's what McVay felt that they needed to do. And to quote the Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, we do not care. And so they probably don't care who they play. They're a different team too. Even though the Eagles blew them out a couple weeks ago, they have been a very good football team. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see. That's going to be a fun matchup, and it's on Monday Night Football. So maybe he felt his team needed that rest. Let's keep on going with the lightning round, which has not been very lightning. Let's try to make it lightning. Nothing's going to make it want to go faster than Cardinals 47, 49ers 24. Here, Hogan.
Yeah, this one was obviously limping into the final season there with neither of these teams making the playoffs. Arizona taking care of business, like you said. Kyler Murray, 242 yards, 4 touchdowns. He looked incredible against a banged-up 49ers team that was not playing Brock Purdy today. Joshua Dobbs did what he could, threw 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Patrick Taylor Jr., 17 carries, 109 yards there for San Francisco with the plethora of injuries that they've gone through. Ricky Pearsall getting 6 catches, 69 yards, and 1 touchdown, which is nice to see. A little bit of a skirmish in the game. Juwan Jennings got thrown out along with the Arizona defensive back when they both went at it there a little bit. But overall, both teams looking to hopefully improve going into next year, where Arizona had the disappointing loss a couple of weeks ago that they did to get knocked out. And then the 49ers, obviously, that Super Bowl hangover just really hit them hard this year, especially on the injury front. So it'll be interesting to see if the 49ers can bounce back next year. And the interesting thing going in the offseason is going to be what happens with Brock Purdy, if he's going to get paid or if he's going to move on.
Yeah, that's something that we're all interested in seeing. Chargers 34, Raiders 20. Reed.
Yeah, this was, the Chargers could lock up the 5th seed with the win in this game. Herbert had a phenomenal game. I think he broke, I forget how many, I think it was first 5 years in the league, maybe. He broke the record for most passing yards, 346 yards, 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins had an injury scare, which I'm sure had all the Chargers fans' heart stopping. But he had 18 carries for 63 yards. And Quentin Johnston, I mean, I don't know what to think of this guy. Even his phenomenal catches, it still looks like he has no hands. I don't know if you guys saw that one-handed grab. It was incredible, but it was also like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. You got to watch the catch. But 13 catches, 186 yards. The Chargers rocking and rolling into the playoffs. Very winnable game against the Houston Texans in Houston. They're 2.5-point favorites. And, the Texans haven't looked great this year. So I think there's a decent chance we will see the Chargers move on. And real quick, I just wanted to touch on Ricky Pearsall with the gun celebration after coming back from the gunshot wound was pretty cool. But, yeah, so Chargers looking to continue their run and beat the Texans in Houston.
I don't even know what to say to that. So I'm just going to. I think we have one last game here, if I'm not mistaken. Texans and Titans. Texans 23, Titans 14. Did we talk about the Buccaneers and Saints?
No, I was going to say that. But yeah, those are the last two.
All right, Hogan, let's take Texans and Titans here. 23-14 in favor of the AFC South champions, Houston Texans.
I suppose if we have to talk about it, we will. This was the Puke Bowl with 4 different quarterbacks playing. Davis Mills, CJ Stroud played a little bit. Will Levis in there, Mason Rudolph. Nothing really to write home about for any of these guys. The biggest numbers of the day came from Dameon Pierce, who took full advantage of relieving Joe Mixon there for Houston. 19 carries, 176 yards, 9.3 yards a carry, 1 touchdown. He was awesome. Houston sinks Tennessee to give them the #1 overall pick. They are on the clock. Houston looks to not lose in the first round against the Chargers.
92-yard run, I believe, in the first quarter or first or second quarter for one Dameon Pierce, who I think I still have him on my fantasy team somewhere. Buccaneers 27, Saints 19, Reed.
Yeah, I'll keep this very brief. The Bucs tried to lose this game. They marched back to win it, but talking about Bush League and the record, I don't know. I mean, I have no problem with them not kneeling and getting Mike Evans the 1,000 yards, but celebration was a little much for me. I mean, he's done it 10 times already, and he only beat it by 4 yards. But besides that, Saints did all they can to spoil the Buccaneers' hopes. Didn't matter anyway because the Falcons lost. Bucky Irving continues to be phenomenal. 19 carries, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Evans, as mentioned, had 89 yards, needed 85 to reach that 1,000 mark. But I'm really impressed with Jalen McMillan this year. He's been phenomenal. 5 catches, 70 yards, and a ridiculous touchdown catch. If you guys didn't catch it, go ahead and check it out. It was great. And the Saints, I don't know what they're doing. Spencer Rattler, 240 yards and a touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 8 carries, 26 yards. I mean, not really much here. It'll be interesting to see if Chris Olave continues his NFL career or not, because I know they were discussing that. But not much to address there besides the comeback from the Bucs here.
All right, one more game that we have not touched upon. It is right now the 2-minute warning. It's the Lions 7, the Vikings 3. So, Jess, this is what we're going to do because I shut you out of the lightning round. I'm going to give you the great hurrah. You can go ahead and just make up the score of this game if you wish.
Well, the Lions came out on top. It's 12-6. Jared Goff impressed everybody by taking a moment to make balloon animals for the kids in the end zone. Really, he's just a class act.
In hindsight, that was the worst idea ever, Brian. So, thank you, Jess. No,
you don't like balloon animals?
Yeah, there was an incident back in 1979, so we don't talk about that at the Davis house. Now, gentlemen, this is of course, as we're recording this, as we are live, that game is going on. I can't wait to go ahead and delve into that game. Fantastic. What are you thinking, though? I'm going to go across the board. Who do you think ends up with the bye here, Hogan? I'll go with you. Start with you.
I got to go with my gut and pick Detroit. They've just been on top of it since the get-go, and they're playing at home in front of their home fans. It would be really disappointing to see them not seal the deal tonight.
Reed.
Yeah, it's big. Anzalone's back. They have so many injuries on defense. I do have the game up, so I'm a little biased. I've seen what's going on. Goff had a pick. The Lions keep going for it on 4th down as expected. I want the Vikings to get it, so I'm going to say Vikings. That'll be my prediction.
Jess.
I think Detroit losing is antithetical to their season. Like, this is kind of their moment, and I think Detroit's going to take it and run with it.
I think there's something special about those Minnesota Vikings too, and I think they have been playing younger brother all year to Detroit, with Detroit just being the darling team. And this is the Minnesota no longer is going to be the ugly stepsister. So I'm going to go ahead and say Sammy D and the Vikes. So whatever happens, we will have it here on the Fans First Sports Network. Make sure you check out the great shows that we do here like Vikings First and Skull. From bleachers to speakers also is our Lions affiliate. They do some great stuff there. David Stefano and his crew do an awesome job with Vikings First and Skull. So make sure you check them out. They are going to be factors in the playoffs, as well as the Denver Broncos. So check out Mile High Broncos, Jess and the crew. Check out Reed, who they're playing next week. So with that going on, check that out. And if you've got nothing else left to do, we need some numbers here on Steel Curtain. No, on Foxborough Frenzy. Check them out. Really good stuff as they are getting ready for, hey, they've got important stuff. They've got a coach to find. So there's so much to listen to about the Gerard Mayo experiment that is the Mayo went bad. So they've got to talk about that. And isn't that a bowl too? Isn't there like a Duke's Mayo Bowl or something?
There's so many bowls.
Yeah,
There's so many.
I think there's a Mayo Bowl.
I'm just done with Mayo. All done.
Yeah, you're.
You said that, I thought of the you have ants commercial. Expired.
Good one.
Mayo expired. Get him out of here.
I like the one when they have a rat in the basement. Rat.
Great commercial.
All right.
Animal in the attic. Like, it's great.
Let's get out of here, but make sure that you check out the Fans First Sports Network and their great lineup of not only NFL, but all across the sporting universe. There's some really great stuff there. Check out, if you're checking us out on YouTube, make sure you check out the Steelers here on the Steel Curtain Network. Also, some other great Steelers shows. Breakfast with Ben's. You have Alan Saunders and the Afternoon Drive. You have so many great things here. Other shows to go ahead and check out as well. Make sure you check out the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Network, the Los Angeles Rams Insider Network, the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Network, and everybody else here that makes up just fine affiliates here on FFSN. So, gentlemen, this is where we get on out of here. This is where we say those lovely two words that we say every week that we could never say in unison for some reason, but we're going to try it this week to see if we can finally do it in 18. Thank you for listening. We will see you all soon. 3, 2, 1. Go football!
Go.
I guess that was close.